There it goes. Okay, sorry, Bill. It was taking a long time.
Start again?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd like to call the February 24, 2025 meeting of the Town of Easton Streets Committee. Meeting Shift Room, Town Hall. To quickly call the roll, I believe Tess is coming. Carla Douglas here. How are you, Carla? Nice to see you. William Chapman, I'm here as the chair. Jim Levy is joining us out on the Zoom. Kathleen Kuzman may join us.
She's gonna try, but she's catching a plane.
Okay. Brian, we have here with us, and Brendan said he was gonna try to join maybe by phone. Although he might. And today we have a new student member joining the committee, Maddie. Well, welcome to the committee. Do you want to, can we take a quick minute for Maddie to say hello or? Yes, well, basically we're work on sidewalks, side paths, crosswalks, and other ways for people to get around town, bikes, walking, and also try to do some improvements for motorists to get around. So just quickly, can you tell us why you decided to jump in or where your interest is in pedestrian? And
yeah, I race bikes and my parents don't let me ride anywhere because the roads aren't safe enough.
And the mountain bike stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, so you race the mountain bikes. That's cool.
So I'd love to be able to ride more.
We need to get more crosswalks and bike paths and things.
they don't even let you ride your 10-speed on the streets around town, or
No,
that's got to be
on
pretty
the other
tame.
side.
Oh, I see.
So I'm stuck around with me.
Well, you know, you can get to Niskuna High School by bike.
You can.
But anyway,
He knows I love him and try to keep him on track.
all right. Let's do privilege of the floor for our meeting today. If there are any citizens that would like to speak to the Complete Streets Committee, this is the opportunity. So,
Citizen,
Okay.
I'm here.
okay.
Thank you. You did give me a little bit of an introduction.
Right. Can you start with your name and your street
Sure.
address?
And
Denise Cashmere.
Denise Cashmere, 949 Pierce Road. As Bill mentioned, I was a planner for Schenectady County for over 30 years. And also, I was also the traffic safety coordinator for over 20 years. So a lot of this was a lot of my previous experience. And I presently serve as a consultant administrator of federal highway safety grants for the Traffic Safety Association for New York State. So I'm very much invested in what is going on. I actually served on this committee, as I said, when it originated back as the Safe Routes to School Committee, and developed, which I'm not sure if you even know what it is, but the first walking school bus program.
Yeah, we're familiar with walking
State,
school.
yeah.
In fact, there are people that parents that still do it. They round up the kids in the
Love that
neighborhood.
program. It was a way to teach children not to just get out and walk and not be afraid, but how to safely walk, to know what the rules were. So that's a really great program. And I only bring up all this background just to assure you that I'm very much an advocate of pedestrian safety and the construction of sidewalks where feasible. So I'm not a negative person on that at all. But several comments from the last meeting about a proposed action on Pierce Road certainly caught my attention. And I'd like to shed some light on some of the issues based on my professional background, as well as being a resident on Pierce Road I had to actually look this up, 36 years. So I live on Pierce Road at the corner of Brookshire. So that helps you to look at where I'm at, across from Tullows. As you well know, Pierce Road is not a pedestrian-friendly road. But what are the possible remedies? I know that's what you're trying to look at. Where are the people walking to? It's a big question. And where do you want to encourage them to walk? The problems on Pierce Road, the major problem on Pierce Road is Pierce Road has major drainage issues. It's long experienced drainage issues with properties, especially on the west side of the road, which is the location of what was discussed last time, the proposed subdivision at 929. And that was part of your discussion where a recommendation was made to possibly get an easement and propose a sidewalk loop section there. In fact, the county has plans for major, I keep putting the word major because it's a big project, work to correct some of the drainage issues. However, monies for a cut from the 24-25 capital project budget due to the high costs. So the county, at this point, the county engineer will submit the proposal, but most likely remedies are going to have to take place piecemeal over the years. Drainage issues were also compounded by the elevation change. If you look at a map from 929 Pierce Road down to the corner of Brookshire, it drops over 20 feet. The culvert, besides being very old, has also experienced damage due to some relatively new construction next door to me. The culvert ends as an open culvert, approximately halfway through my 105 frontage. So if you can think about Pierce Road coming down to Brookshire, it just ends in an open culvert, which
Maybe part of it is a pipe and part of it is just like.
no, no, there's no ditch anymore because it's, town doesn't do anything there. So basically what it does is this giant culvert that's doesn't drain really well. I call it my little pond, and the rest of it comes into my yard. That's part of
So
the,
the culvert is a round pipe.
right, and it's open. Okay. Another drainage issue at the corner of Brookshire and Pierce Road is that the property is anywhere from 1.5 to 2 feet below the road level. Both grade of the road. And the effect is the perfect location for standing water, which is many months of the year. The standing water is fairly consistent as you go down the other end of my property on Brookshire Drive. A lot of standing water. Besides the draining issues, which are huge, I was kind of alarmed by several statements regarding an easement for the 929 property. As you've all mentioned, you don't want a sidewalk to nowhere. You know, that's the issue. The west side of Crooks Road is also the least desirable due to the culvert situation, the location of all the mailboxes, which are routinely struck during winter months, the location of all the high voltage utility wires on the west side of the road, and the fact that this would lead pedestrians to cross Pierce Road up at Trottingham, which I also noted at your meeting was mentioned as a positive outcome. The sight line is brutal at Trottingham, and traffic heading north towards Route 7 is just coming out of a curve. In my history as a resident, I have seen the house at the corner of Trottingham actually install large boulders to keep the cars from flying onto the property. As the former traffic safety coordinator, I would adamantly oppose any such crosswalk or encouragement to cross there. So if you're looking to open up the area of Trottingham, to me, that would be
There are a lot of homes behind Trottingham.
sure,
Yeah.
but don't have them cross on the curve up from the west side over. I mean, that to me is incredibly dangerous. Also, if you're walking down Pierce Road on the west side from this 929 location, it's approximately another half mile before you even get to another road on the side. So I'm not sure what that's opening it up to. I also disagreed with the statement that was made that it would be a clear shot from 929 down to Route 7. That's due to all of my above comments, and well as honestly, my property would be a major impediment. As a 19 construction, my house sits closer to the road than most, as does the original stone pillar that's still standing up front. I also have a picket fence on the property line, which is about 5 feet from the open culvert. Not a lot of space around. I do understand how easements work. However, the right-of-way is variable and decreases significantly as you head down Pierce Road to Route 7. That's why I did check with county engineer what the right-of-way is in front of my house. Very narrow.
33 feet.
Yep. This, along with the culvert the drainage issues and the decrease in elevation are integral points, I think, that you really have to consider before you do any action on Pierce Road. I also realize this is something not set to go and it's down the years, but I think those are just major considerations. That's what I want to just get on record.
Will you leave us a paper copy of
Of
the
this,
reports?
sure. I noticed one typo, but I'm gonna fix that right now. I'd be glad to do it. And I do appreciate, you having a privilege of the floor at this type of meeting, because I think it's really important to hear.
Nadia, do you have a few remarks or?
Not for this meeting.
We have another one later today that we have to make more remarks on.
Later later.
Planning board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
um,
Catherine joined us too, Bill.
Oh, good. Hi, Catherine, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Have you? Thank you for coming.
I don't know if anyone had any questions for me. I mean, I'd be glad to, as I said, I've lived there almost 2 years.
Yeah, I'd like to walk it. And look
Oh,
at
I'd be
everything
glad to
and,
walk it with you anytime. And well, yeah, don't do it now. It's beyond dangerous.
I can put that.
Snowbanks.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Well, we'll have to look more at the situation, but in our goals and other things, we have county roads that are collector roads throughout the town.
Oh,
We're trying to-
County roads are
Our
very
use of
difficult.
it. Hard, but they're there and some of them do have space from the road to the house and so on.
Well, part of the issue is, like I said, I'm a 1904 house.
Yeah.
I mean, I was there just after the Pierce Homestead, which is right next to the 929 subdivision. So that one beats me by like 50 years, but little history, they sold the land to the person that built my house. So it's kind of a cool history on that road.
Reference test.
And I was gonna take off unless there's any reason to stay.
Welcome to stay if you wish, but we've got another
I
one
do
tonight.
want to, but to be honest, because we're going to another meeting tonight.
Okay.
To my grandson, so that's gonna be good.
Good, good.
Thank you. I appreciate the
You're
opportunity.
very welcome. Thank you, Victoria. So Tess Healy has joined us today. Tess Healy, so. Thank you. We're ready to move on to the minutes of October 28th. And then we had those reworked a bit. Had a few typos and some other sentences that need some work, so we'll do this. Does anyone or see an error or see something we need to repair on either the minutes of October 28th or the minutes of January 26th? Should I do these separately or one at a time? I probably.
You can do
Okay, well, then, I'd like to move acceptance of the minutes of October 28th, 2024, and minutes of January 27th, 2025. Looking for a second from Tess Healy. All in favor of accepting those minutes? We're unanimous on that? Okay. Old business, safety on Route 7, the linkage study. Any other member wants to offer a thought on that? We discussed it at our last meeting. Is there a meeting coming soon where I know several folks, Ryan, Catherine and Jim wanted to go and meet with the engineer for the project. She's coming up soon.
preliminary meeting, February. Well,
Did we get notice of that so that the 4 members on this committee could
yeah,
attend?
they're all on the email list.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so Carla, Brian, you were there.
Yes.
You were there too, weren't you, Jim? Yeah, all 4 were there.
Well, okay, we'll ask folks if anyone wants to say something about the meeting and how it went and what we need to do.
Well, basically, it was a kickoff meeting. So we got to meet all the folks from the MPO, the Capital District Regional Transportation Group. Also I believe there was someone there from New York State DOT as well. And of course, we were there, and the consultant. So the purpose of the meeting really was to introduce everybody and to go over their proposed public involvement plan. And we had an opportunity to talk about who the stakeholders would be. And so everyone had some input with regard to that. We also talked about some of the venues and everything that they could present the plan to. And there was a little discussion about the schedule and the name of the study. I think we went with
Safe on 7.
Safety on 7, so SOS for short. I don't know if there was, we had some interesting discussions about what would take place. We also talked about, some of the data that they would be looking at. So there was quite a bit of discussion about that. And so we shouldn't just focus on fatalities and serious injuries, but we should be looking at all accidents on Route 7, which there are many. So I think that, I don't know if Jim wants to offer anything else on that. And so we had an opportunity to actually to review their proposed public involvement plan. So they did allow us, they asked for our input on that. And that's as far as I know.
In terms of the public involvement plan, they're going to be doing surveys both in paper and online. They'll also have an interactive mapper that's online that people will be able to access. And then what's the other?
We have the website.
The website, yeah.
Yes, and then also public participation, which they'll have one will be virtual as well as one that will be in person. So.
Did you get the feel they're serious about safety on Route 7? I mean, collecting input from neighbors and looking at the data?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of options for that. I mean, and I think they want us to, well, I think the next meeting's in April, right? So in this amount of time, I think they want us to reach out to people to,
And I've got a couple contacts at Agudat Akeem and Mosquito Reformed Church, and then Carla found more, which we shared with them.
Yep.
And then you made a bunch of comments on their participation plan.
Oh, what are your thoughts?
Good.
Well, I just thought they have to reach out to everybody and not to miss anyone. These have to be thought about. It's not just, the big groups. There are a lot of people that move along there too.
Is there an opportunity for people that may not be able to come to a meeting, but to still be able to share their input on
Yes.
safety concerns?
Yep.
They did talk that there may be some need for kind of walking down the street, knocking on the doors to make sure that people knew what was happening. And I said that is one thing that we are very good at. Especially Bill.
Most of them.
yes. Well, the stakeholder point of contact is also going to be like, so, and probably everyone on the committee will sort of have a list of people that probably acquire email addresses, and when like the survey comes out, make sure we email the people.
So if we know of a couple people that are interested now, should we give the names to you or
We're
Carla?
we're
Or?
collecting them all.
Okay, good. Jim, anything you want to chip in at this juncture?
No, I think that sums it up pretty well.
Okay, well, thank you all for going and putting this on your schedule. That's good. It's a big priority on all of our lists, and I guess we're all hopeful that they're actually going to take a look at some infrastructure things and some other permanent things that we hope are going to make safety.
I was proud of you guys because Carla like found more contact. Brian commented on their proposal. Jim had sent a couple ideas that we shared with Carrie. Like I thought for a first touch base, like we were very engaged and clear that they're gonna help. I mean, they seem very receptive to all of our comments, so
Any tasks that they've begun to, I mean, that is one, but any other tasks that they've asked the town citizens or the Complete Streets Committee to work on to be part of our match for the effort here?
I think like still identifying the list of the stakeholders with emails and contact information right now.
They're gonna be looking at existing conditions.
Okay.
Building their website.
I do hope they will talk to some, I mean, because anytime you're in a neighborhood like Cornelius or others, neighbors will tell you, oh, the data don't show the near misses that we see out here.
Oh, yeah.
And so the woman that rode the bus and other people, they see stuff that's not in a survey yet that, they should get the opportunity to check that.
Oh yeah, I think they did talk about doing a survey too, but yeah, that's what Carla was saying. Like they have a public participation plan.
Okay,
Like they're planning 3 meetings and figuring out one's virtual, like where's the best place to connect with people to make sure that they're hearing and capturing as many voices as they can.
now,
They're-
is state DOT, do they have folks coming to this meeting so they don't just get a report and then they
Yeah.
get from that, or they?
Yeah, actually Schenectady County is also there.
Okay. Okay. Okay, good. Anything else on Route 7? Okay, how about if we move along to the draft comprehensive plan, mobility and transportation? And,
Yeah, I feel like this one is on me right now. I haven't read the updates yet. I'm gonna take some time to maybe dig into them and then I'll schedule a meeting with you guys. This one's on me, actually.
well, we are still, working on, other things. We all are that, both Carla and Catherine, I sent our big map down to Mark Storty at
Yeah.
County Planning to see if he could do a map, and the one that we had, the streets were too small to be readable on the one that, we 8.5 by 11. And so Carla and Catherine both recommended let's drop the labels on the on the town roads. And I guess the first cut would just to be drop the labels on the town roads, and I think Carla or Catherine suggested just drop the town roads entirely. So, we're just kind of focused on the state roads and the county roads, because that's in that section of the park, that's what we're talking about, keeping the parks and everything there. And it's a little hard even to see which ones are the state and county roads on this map. And that's kind of what we want, is a bird's eye view of, well, what are these roads? And even Ms. Cashmere mentioned, some of the problems with county roads. And so one of our challenges is to, well, how do we work with the county on making these roads more pedestrian friendly? And so obviously some obstacles to do it. But first we want to see them so that, we have the list of county roads, and then you can and see them. So we're going to do that. Then Carla and Catherine have all volunteered to do some pictures. So we're all, Jim may have some, you may have some that,
The problem with our pictures is that we were taking them in the winter, and so all you see is white on gray on white.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really nice. I mean, Jim had taken some pictures previously, and I think in the summer, and those were really nice. So I think we have to be careful about what pictures we use, because I think the ones I took in the winter were just, I
may have a chance to get
That's
some of the
okay.
grasses out there. So
I think you're fine. Like we'd probably want to kind of finalize the pictures that you guys really want in there by like May, end of May, maybe early June. But you have quite a bit of time still.
and we do have a few things even, in the report itself where some tables still need to have the percentages, put in them. And then, we have moved some things like intersections and other stuff, that we're gonna put in an Excel spreadsheet that will go in the back of the report. That would be examples, it would be things that we want to do, which, Dart Strayers really said, we don't want these left out. We want them to be, they don't have to be in the general text of the plan,
They have to be
but they can,
referenced.
they have to be referenced. And so, we don't get citizens say, hey, or, other people saying, didn't mention anything about this in the comp plan, so you're not really serious about it. So, we can do that. And, I guess I was sort of thinking that we've already kind of have some bigger groups, which is, okay, we had some things that applied to schools, so that would be a section. And we have some things, on intersections, and so we can certainly talk about that. And then Carla's identified, and you can see them on our big map here, proposed connections from one neighborhood to the next. And so we don't need to spend half a page talking about ones that are on the big map, but we can list them in an Excel spreadsheet to say they are. So we still have some work to do. And we have done work on getting some text together and pass that along to Laura to look at, and anxious to have her input coming back. And I don't know. Well, when we get your input and we work on a couple more things, does it go back to Dart at that point, or the comp plan committee?
I did share it with them, so
Oh,
I shared
okay.
it with them.
Okay.
Plan
Okay,
committee.
good.
I said, I haven't read it yet, but feel free to, like send the comments, because then I can incorporate all of them.
Okay.
Then you guys, and then we could sit down and look at it together. I actually haven't gotten any comments from anybody else, so, but maybe I'll ping them again too, just to see, because if they have some things that they want outstanding.
Unless you want to wait a tad longer until you've had a chance to read it.
And then you really highlight them.
Yeah, and then you got your
Questions.
stuff, and then you
Yeah,
do some stuff.
I do.
Okay,
Or could you just give Maddie a brief overview of what the comprehensive plan is?
Oh, sure. So the comprehensive plan, it's a 10-year, 10 to 15-year plan that guides overarching goals that the town wants to see, the vision that we want to have for the future. And our last comprehensive plan was in 2013. And it was kind of like the first beginning of recognizing that roads were meant for more than just cars. Because up until that point, I think a lot of the transportation was just what do vehicles need, what do vehicles need, what do vehicles need. So it was the start of kind of a complete streets look at a future for Niskayuna. We're trying really hard to take all of the complete streets principles and add them into the chapters now. So it's a pretty big rewrite of our 2013 chapter. Some of the chapters won't change too much because they served us pretty well, but this one we're really expanding and trying to make sure that the town's thinking about what kinds of transportation, what the roads should, who the road should serve, how we can make them more accessible, and accommodate more modes of transportation. So that the comprehensive plan committee is working on all the different chapters, but they gave the complete streets chapter to the complete streets committee. And you guys, I think, work harder on it than anybody else. You work really hard on it.
so we'll send you this draft soon. Slide this under your pillow. You're sleeping at night, so you'll still be working.
Right, should have this on the wall above her.
Yeah. If you get lost, you'll be able to know the spots. And this will help with the text, and then
Look, I mean, if you're thinking, okay, how would I get from here to here? If the roads were safer, you can look at the different maps and look at the list and stuff in there.
yeah, that would be one of the safe routes. Really, it's even one of our goals is at some point we may ask the town board to put this map on the website so that if you move to Niskayuna or you're biking through Niskayuna from Niagara Falls to Albany and you want to know where can I get hot shower, where can I mail a letter, where I can do something, or even just get through, or you moved here and you want to know, well, how can my kids get to schools, or how can we get to the co-op, how can we get some log cuts and bike paths, that those routes will be on here and you'd be able to look at it, and you'd be able to look at it on your phone so that you could see the goals. And this map is does two things. It's got the existing roads, kind of the system that we want to use, and then we have a lot of proposed trails. And so we wouldn't want people to be confused, the assumption that, oh, if I go on East Country Club, I'll be able to get over to Row Road, but you can't. And they'd say people that did the snap are just trying to fool us on a grand scale, and that's not the case at all, but it's a step in that direction.
Also, the connectivity portion of the transportation chapter might change some from the linkage study based on public input.
Yeah.
So that's true.
But at some point, I mean, we do have to finish it, get it
Yeah,
done
yeah,
and
based on
get it out
public
there. And because there'll always be more changes. If we're
Yes.
waiting for
Yeah.
the last change, we'll never get it done.
Yeah, because I think they're probably about 6 to 7 months behind when we need to adopt the. But the point of a comprehensive plan is that it should be a living document. Like, we didn't really make updates between 2013 and 2025, but we really should be. Like, one of the recommendations they talk about is having your comprehensive plan committee meeting like once a year or twice a year after, just to like keep it updated, keep it fresh, make sure that it's still relevant. So I have, whenever I say that comprehensive plan committee, their heads all like explode because it's a lot of work. But but yeah, if we need to revisit it, we absolutely can. Pretty easy to do.
Well, having been on a 2003 comp plan, I mean, I feel like our work will have some legs, because sometimes you do a good job on a chapter in 2035. It may not require that much
Yeah.
change to do that one, and so we could be doing something that's going to be guidance down for 20 years
Yeah,
or
it's
even
true.
longer. So it's,
Yeah, if we don't change that, some of the chapters won't change that.
well, I mean, we've had the 30-year-old Belltown Road corridor study in the plan. And we're asking the state, to update that so stuff can stay around. Okay. Let's move on to sidewalk design, Birchwood and Cornelius. I know you have it on. Is this just staying here, or the engineers have not given us any input?
I'll attach it to the packet, and follow up. Ian, our, police, there's
Ian Munger.
Yeah, Ian came by today. He couldn't make it to the meeting, but he wanted to know what the status was of the sidewalks, and I don't have the engineering yet, but he is paying close attention to that. And I did also bring up, some of the questions we had on a couple of the intersections that we wanted. Yeah,
Right. Chief gave me green light
and he's ready and willing to
a year
help.
ago
Yeah.
to,
He's
you
ready.
need some data, get that, and so.
So I told him about that, and I think the plan is still the same. When we get that information, we can reach out to all of the affected properties and try and meet with them individually. To try and ease some of the fears.
Is that what you're doing? Walk the block and talk to folks again, or are we going to meeting at town hall?
I'm open to all of the above.
Okay.
I think that when we have the data, I'm hoping that the data will help some of the concerns, because we can look at it and say, okay, those are the trees that you don't want to be taken down. They're not going to be taken down. And here's how far the sidewalk is, and here's the engineer's assessment of,
Yeah.
what the excavation would need to be and how that would affect the tree. We can have all of that stuff ready. I think another thing that we've heard is that, the intersection right across from Birchwood there, with Oak Hill or whatever it's called, needs a lot of improvement. So I made sure the engineers are working on, ideas for that intersection. So like looking at the sidewalk in conjunction with the intersection might also like let people know that we're listening and hearing, and okay, so here's some ideas for traffic calming, because you're having a lot of cars coming through and it's not safe to walk. So
That's really good.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
Are there a lot of people that want sidewalk? I mean, based on the meetings we've had,
there is not a lot of
come in,
people.
there are people that don't want the sidewalk.
Yes, we've heard from some people that are opposed, but
Yes,
there's still a lot of people that.
There are a lot of people that want the sidewalks.
Well, that,
Yeah.
so that is more reason to have one meeting with everybody there. So the opposing sides in here with the, you know, if you go house to house, okay, that guy, this person did it, that one, this one did it, but when you get them all together, when you present the data, then they could say, like this,
Right.
if you say you can save the trees, I mean, that's,
Yeah, the house to house to me is more like, okay, you're actually going to have a sidewalk on your property. What is gonna look like? Where is it gonna go?
Right.
How does your driveway intersect it? Which is kind of an individual and personal conversation, but the overall decision on, you know, whether or not to apply for a grant or how we move forward, I definitely think that we've got to get both the sides in. So.
Well, the
talk to
first cut
them.
when I was out there going door to door is just to find out, is there receptivity
Right,
to,
because I mean, I think you guys can imagine like,
to a sidewalk? I mean, if everybody is a no,
and then.
then,
It's gonna be
you
hard
know,
to get the town board
you don't
to
wanna-
use it funding.
you don't want to be doing that sort of thing.
Right.
If everybody's, and, you know, hit a few. Is my guesses.
well, that's why it is, you bring everybody together and do the presentation first.
Yeah, I just think having the data, I mean, I think a lot of the unknown, you know, is hard. But it may not be as bad as you think it is. If you see, like, maybe you're imagining the sidewalk is gonna take a lot more of your yard than it actually is. Or maybe it's the opposite, I don't know. But like, when we actually sit down and look at the individual properties, yeah.
And, you know, as I did say to the gentleman, there, if you get a sidewalk, town law is you have the legal responsibility to maintain it, and so you may have to shovel some snow. But as I said, that you have kids that are gonna walk to school, you have a home on a street that's across the street from an elementary school. The same is true on Nicholas Avenue and Cornelius Avenue, as well as Birchwood Lane. And, the kids, but they're older adults that walk those. And, Denise mentioned the walking school bus, even if there are parents that are willing to scoop up kids so that, you know, today's my week, I walk the kids to school and I've got maybe 6 or 7 kids that are walking with me, but we're walking on a sidewalk or a multi-use path, not in the road with the buses and the cars. So that's it. Anyway,
So more to come on that.
okay. And we did have the money and did decide to go forward with the one block at Palmer Ave.
Yes, yep,
So
that got
that's
awarded to
virtual.
Newcastle. I think you probably read, we did have this discussion a little bit, but, you know, the school is gonna take on that one part in front of the school, so we might be able to flex Newcastle going and working on a different project with the school and making a meeting with them. Which I think is a good idea.
Personally, no, the county is gonna do the improved crosswalk on Grand Boulevard, the bottom of Palmer, before you walk up to the schools. And that's good. So our new sidewalk, it's gonna have improvements on both ends. At the school, it's gonna do some work on their side of the road so that there's a concrete platform where people walk up on Palmer to get over to the school. And, you know, a platform where they will walk down to the asphalt pathway on Story Avenue. And then on the other side, there'll be a nice crosswalk on Grand Boulevard, so the traffic going both ways. So kids will be able to walk up Palmer, cross Grand Boulevard on a crosswalk, have a new sidewalk to get up, and then have another landing place when they get to the other side of Story Avenue, which will be good. School districts.
So when are you gonna schedule a meeting with the schools?
Well, first I'd like to go over the priority letters, which is next on here, is that once we decide on sending those out, that first we'll send Mr. Mummintay a letter, and then we'll call him and ask for the meetings, and then you-
I think we
Natty,
can do it
uh,
like within a month if we can. So
So it's fresh.
within a month or a month and a half also, so that we can make sure that the construction, that we like flex the construction actually kind of there. Yeah,
then I
Is there something that Natty could come to?
Oh, yes. No. A good idea. As a matter of fact, I need to, did have a good meeting with the engineers for the school district. This was maybe 2 years ago or something, Jim and you and
probably
I,
more than that.
maybe 3 years ago, but we did actually look at each school campus and we had recommendations on each one to make it walkable, so like the, yeah, and that, it would be dig out that document and then kind of look at each school and what's going on.
For sure.
Why don't we start with, the school district priority one right now?
So one change we made from the letters last year is the first paragraph is a thank you for some of the things that each entity has actually accomplished. And then the priorities, it does make the letter a little longer. But I think that's okay.
Oh, yeah, I mean, everybody wants to, you start them off with a thank you, like we asked you to do some things and you did them, and then we noticed and we're saying thank you to doing it. And when Catherine and I and Carla were over at the auditorium at Michigan High School, the county planning had, or the county legislature had a meeting there, and we made our presentation concerning sidewalk on that street, but Superintendent Mumathig made it a point to come over and let us know that he was making some modifications to make sure we had some asphalt pathways on the high school campus. And so that was good. I mean, the more we ask, as a matter of fact, I've said we're kind of, we don't have much of a budget and we don't make much selling pumpkin pies, but we do try to be advocates for walkability in our town. And we have folks, county, state, school district, and our town board that have listened a little bit. So I think that's very important.
Yeah, I tried to look at them quickly, but it was mostly messing with the formatting to make sure that they could go into the packet.
So safe bike and pedestrian access to schools, that's really just, again, saying there's 8 school campuses. We've spoken before the school board at meetings, and we did have the meeting with Mr. Mumathig and 2 or 3 members of the school board who came, and we made recommendations with respect to the school campus. And so if we do get a chance to meet with Superintendent Mumathig again, we probably would some of those things and thank him for some of that already. And next is number 2 is asphalt side paths at Roosevelt Elementary and Iroquois Middle School. And this one was, again, the school district is moving all 7th and 8th graders to Iroquois Middle School starting fall of 2025. And so what we wanted to 25.
Okay, so everything, okay, all right.
Yeah, it's been dialed up. We don't have 3 years. We have 6 months.
Okay,
We gotta get cracking.
sorry.
I think the whole thing's supposed to be done by 2028. The middle schools were supposed to change in 2026, but they figured out that construction would be easier if they could get more kids out of Van Antwerp Middle School. So only 6th graders are going to be in Van Antwerp Middle School next year. They're not actually moving the 5th graders in yet.
It's going to stay in the elementary schools, I think, another year.
And then that'll allow them to work like faster on the one side, and then they'll move the 5th graders in, and then they'll start working. So I think 2028 is still their goal and goal date. They have a lot of steps in order for them to be ready for preschool, all that stuff.
But to their credit, the school board did listen to citizens saying, we want neighborhood schools. Van Antwerp's a beautiful building. It has some things that aren't there in terms of computer and library and stuff. And so we said, look, you can fix this building. And so they are doing that.
You know, I'm
And so
sad my daughter's missing going to Van Antwerp. She went to Iroquois now, and then everybody's coming to her in 7th grade. She missed going to Van Antwerp by 1 year. Van Antwerp, cool.
The other part of this, just to keep moving, I mentioned that, well, even kids in Old Niskayuna could ride down the side path there on Knott Street East and Box Hollow and Sandra Lane, Hempstead, go through the park and get to Iroquois Middle School, and some may do that. Jim points out there's a pretty big hill at Fox Hollow, and it's a little bit of a ride, to get over there. But there are still people who live over on in that part of town, that would still bike ride to Iroquois Middle School. And so we want to have the pathway through the park workable. And so we changed this here really just to say in our letter to the town is that we just like to make sure it's bikeable through River Road Park. And then we'd like them to improve the stub that goes from River Road Park over to the stub that goes over to Rosendale Elementary. And then as the school district, would they make sure that that's a passable asphalt path from Rosendale Elementary. And I think they're working on the connection between Rosendale and Iroquois Middle School. So once they do that path, they're on the campus of Rosendale, then they can either take the road or an asphalt path to get over to Iroquois Middle School.
And then the third one,
Third one is the school zone crosswalk for Craig Elementary School. And so,
you have that on there.
yeah, Jem, are you still out there? Can you
Yep,
show
I'm
us
here.
a picture of the proposed intersection at Craig and the Jewish Community Center and also a little bit on Balltown Road, which you'll see when we talk about the state, we still think it's a good idea, but we want to have the discussion with them. So if they haven't seen this plan right here, that the state and the school district get to see it, talk about it. And I don't know, Jim, can you just hit some of the highlights of what this plan is?
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so what we were asked to look at, and we did this, when did we do this? 2019, July of 2019. We were asked to take a look at kind of connectivity, from the town center out to the parks, through the neighborhoods, and then up to Craig. But the main focus was on what to kind of do from Providence up to Craig Elementary and the JCC, because there were concerns. A kid was hit here on a bike many years ago. I don't know, it's probably 7 years ago now, 8 years ago, at the intersection. And we have a lot of issues here, a lot of turning movement issues getting into the J, particularly in the summer with the summer camp. So in coordination with the Transportation Council, we took a look at some possibilities of what could change here and just put together a quick schematic. And essentially what it was putting in crosswalks and, sharpening up the intersection a bit, pulling out some of the speed, the lanes to speed up to get into traffic, both on Balltown Road and on River Road, because those are causing people to fly around the corners. And if we want people to cross this intersection, we don't want people zipping around the corners. So we tightened these up by eliminating those acceleration lanes and actually the stacking lane here between Zenner. But in particular, we looked at the ability to line up Craig Elementary School with the JCC. The J does after-school activities, and they do have a bus that goes there. But our understanding was that they won't actually come out of the driveway here and then make a left into the JCC driveway. They actually kind of go up and around and I think down to River Road and back up to get to the J. And they can easily walk. So between that and the fact that we know there are movements between the J and Craig, some bicycle movements, some people that go to GE and other things, we just looked at the ability to line it up. And it does work, from a physical perspective. You could line them up if you move things on Craig. There's certainly some items we'd have to deal with. I think there's a fire hydrant here would have to be moved. So there are certainly issues. And this is not a small undertaking on the JCC side. It's a pretty significant driveway with a pretty significant cost that would come with it. But this was all done in an effort to try and help promote the idea of taking a look at what we can do to start, figuring out what to do up in this part of town. As I said, when we looked at it, it kind of feels like the old Niskayuna part of town kind of ends when you get to Providence and River Road. And as soon as you cross that, it's like the Wild West. All of a sudden, everyone speeds up and starts doing 50 miles an hour on the other side. And it really shouldn't, given kind of the land uses, the apartments and the elementary school and the J and everything that are up in this area. It really should feel like an extension of the other side of the roads. So that's what we did. And I think the idea is just to kind of keep that discussion moving forward, looking at a school zone and then what physical improvements we can do. We did find from an old aerial, there used to be a crosswalk between Craig, on Balltown, between Craig and the J a couple decades ago. That's now gone. But
As a short-term measure, we're not advocates for reestablishing that. I mean, or we want to push for the.
well, there's nowhere to go. I mean, if we wanted to look at that, that wasn't what we did here. We'd probably have to look at putting a sidewalk down Craig and somehow lining up with the J parking lot, or there would have to be some kind of sidewalk to land to on the other side of the road here. It has to connect to something.
Yeah.
But,
it would be easily contain exactly what is there based on today's standards. You'd have to, like Jim was saying, you'd have to have some kind of landing, and before it was a guy's yard.
But
So-
even, I mean, one option would be decidedly less costly than this one.
It's true.
But
this is a major this is a major project. for
DOT would look at this. I mean,
So
we're hopeful that we can persuade the school district and the state DOT to see the merit of this and for both of them to think about doing something like this down the road. Would that be the case?
Yeah. Other reason that it would be hard to just paint the crosswalk is that we want it to be used, and I think that DOT doesn't do the rapid flashing beacons the way the county does. And so in order to get cars to stop on either side, you have to have a light. And the only way you'd be able to get the light is if you realign the intersection. Yeah.
Right.
So
There-
really, our second point here probably should be modified. What goes to state DOT and the school district should be the same on this grant right here, saying, we want this. And
We could say realignment and creation of a crosswalk between Craig Elementary School and the JCC.
well, I have a good discussion on the state. So what I would suggest is we just look at the paragraph
Alignment.
for the state and move it over
Okay.
to the school district. Okay. Anything, I mean, are people comfortable with these recommendations for the school zone? Okay, should we vote on the package altogether or should we do them one at a time? Well,
I had just, I don't think, although, I think on some of the letters, you're a co-chairman. and some
Oh,
of
it
the
should just be
chair-
shared. Okay, so we'll have to
So
check
it's just,
that.
there's a little bit of inconsistency there.
so what I'm saying, Laura, is that when we look at the state, you'll see I have a different discussion on this. These items are here. All right, okay. So I'm recommending the school, but I'd like to move the paragraph on school zone and crosswalk for Craig Elementary School. That realignment, which actually, why don't we talk about the state and then we'll come back and we can maybe do both of them. So will people get out Mark Cycaldo, the state, and just look at the school zone and crosswalk for Craig Elementary, which is number 2 on that one. Here, we talk about recommendations. We do talk about realignment, so I guess it's okay. Maybe we can just take these 3 bullet points and move them over to the school district, but basically realigning the entrance way to Craig Elementary and Reduced Community Center, include a push button pedestrian bicycle crosswalk with pedestrian heads at this intersection using a school speed zone on Balltown Road, so.
It's because on the paragraph that says aerial photography indicates there was a crosswalk between the two as little as 8 years ago, but that was in the letter 3 or 4 years ago, so it's probably a different number now.
Oh, right, in other words,
Probably like
I guess what I'm suggesting is the school district one should just have the discussion that's in the state one. Text is the same to both of them.
Yeah,
School zone and crosswalk for Craig. But the school district gets the same language, and all we've got to do is move the state over to the school district. Which is really the 3 bullet points. We would just move that over to the school district and I don't know, we could drop the discussion about, I mean, the discussion with the crosswalk that was there is really historical. We don't say we'd like to put that old crosswalk back in place. We just have it there to say, this is what it was.
just say historically there has been a connection.
Yeah,
there.
historically there was
Yeah.
a crosswalk there. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think it makes sense to send one set to the school district, one set to the state. They should be same.
Sure, but give them more detailed one to both of them, or?
The only downside I think is that it makes the letter a lot longer when you have the bullet point.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can drop it out.
Um,
I mean, this has. Well, what I'd also say is that when we communicate with the state and the school, we might want to take a copy of the study that Jim refers to and send that along with the letter. So,
We're just trying to keep them each to 2 pages. I think that's smart. For giving us, getting the message heard.
so would we be okay then with the school? We just say realignment and creation of a crosswalk, and then we'll make that historic upgrade to the 8 years ago.
Or you can send it to me, I'll make them all 2 pages.
Okay.
I'm an expert at that.
And then on the state one, I mean, sometimes the state has a little more tolerance for reading longer. Or we can make them the font smaller. But
I see you've already been dipping into the margins.
I did, yeah, before I put them in the packet.
So staying with the state, I open up with safety measures for Route 7, just saying, you know, we want the linkage study to go forward and we want to learn some things from that. Again, the same time, hopeful state DOT will follow this linkage study with applications in pursuit of federal monies that will implement appropriate infrastructure and design features that will make Route 7 safer.
Mhm.
And then,
I just had a question on that.
Sure.
Because on the goals for the committee. Talk about the 8 traffic fatalities. 2020 to February 29, 2024. So wouldn't you want to have those numbers?
well,
The DOT letter, 'cause I mean, they have to be up on what the numbers are.
yeah, one was a 5-year period that I think went from 2019 to 2023. That's
Yep.
in our comp plan. And so I just moved the language over from that. It's actually 9 fatalities, but it's 4 years, 4 months.
Yep.
And so I just thought, you know, 5-year period was what Catherine had put in the table in our comp plan. And so I thought I'd just
Okay.
stay with the same
It's just so we
data.
had there were different
Yeah.
numbers occurring in different.
Yeah,
places.
yeah, they are. Well, one
We
applied
have
to a
two
5-year
ways to
period.
money through- together. That's why it jumped to 8
Yeah.
outside of the 2023 period.
Page 6 here on comp plan report, so we talked about a 5-year period, so we have
Okay.
9 serious injuries, 6 fatalities. But if we just go with fatalities from what, 2020 to 2021, I think, to,
I can't, the chief of police doesn't always like for us to put the exact numbers and like he likes to just say.
yeah. Fatality is nothing to play around with. It's not like a judgment call on.
No, I know, because I think the problem he had is that like the number was constantly it was changing and sometimes we weren't always updating the starting date. I mean, I think this one is correct. That's why it says this. But he does want us to make sure that we are being very specific if we're citing fatalities and frames.
Well, I mean, the data that you have, Catherine, I am assuming is from state DOT database.
Yeah, she has made that clear. I think it's fine the way this is.
I mean, either way, we've had a lot of fatalities, so. I
Yeah,
don't
oh,
think
yeah,
we're
yeah, I'm
gonna-
not questioning that, I'm just saying it just, we had 2 different sets.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So we do Route 7, then we do the school zone, which is kind of the discussion. Go ahead, Colin.
You had a quick, just a quick typo is technical, the second line. It's in the 8.
Oh, yeah,
That's small.
I see it. I'm surprised my computer didn't.
Then number 3, we're asking kind of 2 things here, one of which Laura and I talked about this. This is kind of two sidewalks. One is on the Odie Heck property that would just go from Console Road down to Mohawk Commons. And the state owns the Odie Heck Developmental Center is not there anymore, but they still own the property and, you know, they don't have to get permission. They could just do something there.
It's a great idea.
And it gets us down to, well, Raymore Flanagan Plaza. And then I guess I mean, we could maybe find a way, you know, have a ramp that would get us down by Price Chopper that would get you down. It's a little
That's
awkward
quite a
because
hole there, yeah.
there's no space up on the top to put a sidewalk, and then it's a steep drop off. And so, but you could, you know, if there were a ramp, maybe there is one there now that, you know, you loop around and you could get down. The other one that Carla has put in the connectivity section of the comp plan is, well, we need a sidewalk that will get you from Upper Union Street to State Street. And we've talked about, well, possibly having a side path where the Bevis Hill Reservoir is to get us from Van Antwerp Road down to Upper Union. And then, you know, from Upper Union, you get from Upper Union over to Troy Road. And then on the west side, the city side of Balltown Road, you know, you go through the homes that would get you from Troy Road to Hexham Gardens West. And then you've got the golf course over there. It's kind of a straight shot all the way down. And then when you cross Console Road, there are homes, City of Schenectady homes, but a lot of them have pretty good sized front yards and a lot of them walk. And so I think they would almost appreciate having a sidewalk where you can walk. And I know all of us have driven on Balltown Road and somebody is, you pass somebody in your headlights, you say, I almost ran over that person because they're wearing dark clothing. It's in the winter and pedestrians are walking in the road. I mean, it's a little bit okay, but I mean, even on the OD Heck site, they kind of walk in the brush sometimes and they're not that off the road. And so,
We are with you, Bill.
okay.
Sure.
So we're going to put it in. And part of this is, I mean, some things are bigger than others that we want to ask for a meeting with the state. And we, as we pointed out in the comp plan, I mean, Balltown Road is 7.5 miles, but only 20% of it has got sidewalk or side path to get anywhere. It's a big north-south road. It's got a lot of pedestrian areas. So we should ask for this.
Straight pedestrians and cyclists on that corridor than anywhere else.
Yeah, I do too. I see a lot of them.
So anyway, hopefully the committee is gonna,
So I think that it's, the list is good. I might consolidate the paragraph describing the businesses and stuff on Baltimore. Just try to make that a little shorter. I might just consolidate a little bit of the language, but as long as everybody's okay with the 3 priorities, I think.
I mean, I'm okay with consolidation, but I sort of felt like DOT needs to understand there are a lot of pedestrian generators and there's a lot of walkers over there. We're not,
I know,
it's
but
a serious situation.
we have to understand attention spans and rules too. Like, the more concise we can be, the better.
Yeah, this is just to get them like interested and then they'll be excited and we'll tell them all the details. So it doesn't matter if you put sidewalk or multi-use path, like in terms of, because that would be a road that, unless you're planning bike facilities, that would be a road where you put something like that because, you know, it's such a straight path.
Well, I mean, I guess we sort of have to face that issue, which people in the committee here have kind of pushed back on that, saying, Bill, you can't always get a multi-use pathway. I mean, a sidewalk may be the best we can get here because it's narrow. And so you think about a sidewalk.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking about when you get
Yeah,
up
it's true.
to Ray Street, if you're on the Bevis Hill side, that we'd have a crosswalk at Ray Street getting across Balltown Road. You get across the street at Ray, there's a sidewalk that gets you from Ray Street up to Upper Union Street. Then we'd stay on the same side of the road and we'd cross over. So there'd be a sidewalk that would go from Upper Union up to Troy Road. And then once you get to Troy Road, there's a good crosswalk on Troy Road there. You get over to the other side, you're still on the west side, you stay on the sidewalk all the way down on the same side of the street. And when you get to past Console Road, well, your homes and that sort of thing, And even when you get closer to Mohawk Commons, I mean,
So I know, but
definitely.
the,
I do have sidewalk or multi-use pathway. I had the
Right.
or in there.
Yeah,
I'm just
I
saying.
think idea is priorities, and if some of the details change, if we're working out a particular
Yes.
project, that's okay.
For sure.
But we just want to make sure that like the like we're stating our overarching priorities for this kind of like,
We're giving them just the idea.
yeah.
You spent sweat blood with these sentences right here, and so it's not as easy as it looks.
It's very easy to edit them.
Gotcha. That's what I'm gonna say, but I'll listen. Okay, okay, so, I mean, can I ask for a vote from the committee on schools and state, or shall I do the package all together when we're done with these, or?
Well, now that we've done two, let's just do the package all together.
Yes.
And knowing that there might be a couple typo corrections, as long as we're all completely okay.
Well, I mean, I feel like we got two that were yeses on here, well, hopefully we do the yeses the whole way.
We're pretty easy crowd though.
Yeah.
All right, Schenectady County. So here we have three. And the first one is Van Antwerp Road bike sidewalk construction. And we have this focus on county roads where we're trying to we're trying to get the county interested in doing some multi-use side paths or sidewalks on county roads. And I put Van Antwerp in, I mean, we have 18 and 23 miles of county roads, and we're trying to, there's a little bit on some of them, but most of them
Yeah, but I think we're,
don't have any. And so Van Antwerp is a good starting place because I believe that the residents are receptive.
Yeah,
to it
that's
when
what
we
we
do it.
say. I
And so that's why it's number one. We get a predicate with a win over there because the neighbors want it. It gets them down to Knott Street East. So that's a win. Then we've talked so much about Rosendale Road, and people, even Denise Cashmere, when she was here, she was saying it'd be important for walkability there. And I guess it partners with our effort to get through River Road Park and get to the Rosendale Elementary coming from that direction. But it also partners with Rosendale's a busy road, curvy road. It's going to get access to a lot of people to Birchwoods Elementary, to Iroquois Middle School, and the Lesher Park Reserve. So that's number two on there. And then number three, again, the sidewalk or side path along Council Road from Balltown Road to Ferris Road. I mean, are people agreeable to 1 and 2 or not? First VA and then Rosendale or not?
I think they're all great, but you went into a lot more detail.
yeah, I think we
Three
have to,
versus like Rosendale.
Yeah.
Like you could probably even take, well, Van Antwerp's a small paragraph, but that's
We
even.
can cut it down, but again, this is kind of the state thing. This is Scarlet Bendel Gold, and I just moved it over to the
Yeah,
letter
yeah,
right
no,
here,
that's
but
good.
if we want to,
Like,
if it's gotta go, I mean,
You could include that with a meeting where
okay.
yeah, I probably would cut this, the Council Road goal is good. I probably would shorten the paragraph.
That to you, and again, if we vote today, I mean, people are comfortable with the priorities, right? So
Yeah.
we're authorizing you to make some lingo changes in here to economize a bit. Is that fair to say or not? Okay. Are people happy with 1, 2, 3? I mean, Van Antwerp, Rosendale Road, and then Council Road. And Council Road is,
Which one do you feel like is the most feasible for acceptance?
I think we have worked with the county a lot on Van Antwerp.
Okay.
And I think that they're getting constant, updates from the neighbors with they get their signatures, petitions together. And I even know that like Paul Sheldon was supposed to go out and like look at the right of way and stuff like that. So I do really think that we're pushing that one as our number one. It's also, we have some easements and like less takings of property versus like Rosendale, which we know is gonna be over $1 million. We're hoping Van Antwerp won't be as expensive.
Seems like there's not a lot of stuff in the way.
Yeah, especially if you put it on the other side.
Yeah, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
and again, Council Road.
Yeah, really big win if we could get just even that
Yes.
one section.
Yes, and
'Cause right now I was like, don't ride your bike on Van Where
I walk the Betsy House on there sometimes, and yeah, it's pretty scary to walk there.
Yeah.
But there are people even who work at GE who I see walking there and across the GE traffic circle.
Yeah.
Do you want to suggest moving, well,
What?
Console Road, if we get down to say the adult care home would be, maybe that's too far up.
Yeah, I think a sidewalk or side path along Console Road from Balltown Road to Ferris Road is good.
I mean,
You already have a plan though, that puts you down to Ingersoll.
And that gets us to Ingersoll, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and that one I think the town might even be able to do, which is not gonna be permanent. But we do, we do hear about people who come to the town board and are concerned with how fast cars are driving on Console Road. So certainly like adding sidewalks or narrowing the visual corridor more might still help. I mean, it's a pretty curvy road, but I don't think, unless there's another county road that we can really think of, I definitely think it'd be okay to have Console be number 3.
Yeah, there's always people, there's always people.
Facility.
Yeah, yeah, because again, it does have the memory homes, and there's a commercial component there that people are watching doing.
and we know the county's not gonna go out and just dig up the money to start on these in 6 months or something.
Maybe in Antwerp.
But advantage if they could, but I mean, Console and Rosedale are both
Big
a big
one.
lift. And so, but we want to get them on the radar so they hear about it and they know we're interested in something. Okay. Let's jump over to the town, which is next.
To the sidewalk along Balltown. Yeah, exactly.
Town of Niskayuna, again, safety measures for Route 7, that basically just saying, look, the town needs to cooperate. We have a matching commitment to the $139,000 linkage study, so we're gonna want to do that. Then I have,
Because everybody left us online.
okay. Then second, I have sidewalk on Cornelius Avenue from Ray Street to Hillside. And then the sidewalk on Birchwood Lane from Troy Road to Birchwood Elementary. Those are 2 and 3. And we've been talking about those in committee. I mean, we sort of we persuaded the town board to do a quality communities grant. And they put 700,000 in to do both of those sidewalks, and the town did a matching 300,000. So I think the town board is committed to that. And then the fourth is, just as I mentioned, asking the town to make sure that the trails are okay to get through the Road Park. Anyway,
I'll make a motion to accept these letters.
all for
Just a quick question. Did they do the Complete Streets Committee policy in 2016 or 2017? Not that it matters. I
They
thought I read-
appointed the Complete Streets Committee in 2016 and adopted the policy in 2017.
Got it. All right.
I removed that paragraph for most of those actually because we've established ourselves so well that we don't really need to say we were appointed in 2016 anymore. I actually took that paragraph out of all the letters except for the last town one. But
the first day of January 2017.
I would say that the dates out because we've established ourselves.
Yes.
Okay. I have a motion from member Tess Healy, seconded by Carl Dougal, that we set the priority letters
Well, with some
with
reduced, some editing reduction.
corrections from town planner Laura Robinson. And so we want to get
Yeah,
to see
if you want
saying.
I'll send that out on my
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to do it.
Okay, I'll do that too.
Okay.
But thank you very much, Bill, for making all those connections. And Bill and I met and we went through them and
Yeah.
we came up with a plan and then he did all the work, so.
Bill, I really appreciate the comprehensive knowledge you have of the town.
I actually think everybody does. I mean, I do a little bit of writing and stuff like that, but when I talk about things, people on this committee know the roads. They know Pierce Road, they know Console Road, and they know where things are. So, well, thank you. But it's kind of you to say some. Well, you should listen to me before the meetings. I'm talking to my wife saying, "Don't you go to the, you should have done this yesterday." One day before.
Give you permission to stop, like, check.
Let's look at the goals for 25, 26, and oh, yes, here we go. So everybody got them? Did everyone get a chance to read through them? I mean, do we want to put these off to March 31 meeting, or do we want to do these today?
Well, you and I went through them and I did check them. And
Yeah.
it looked like everything you and I had talked about.
So just quick, again, Route 7, everybody said that's the big deal because 139,000 grant, the state wants to do something about accidents and fatal accidents on Troy Road, so we want to focus on that. 2 is just grant applications. That's a continuous one that we're always going to be on the lookout for getting some money to do something. Pedestrian and bike paths added to Michigan schools. This is kind of general, but we've tried to stay in touch with the school district when they got the bonding measures. We were over there to say, look, you got some money, you're going to be working on the parking lots. Why don't you try doing these things right here? And they agreed to do some of them. Then the next priority, and these are kind of priority order. Again, Birchwood Lane, push button crosswalk, and then Cornelius side path. These are walkways to 2 schools that we identified in the Quality Communities grant that we wanted to get money for it. So they're 5 and 6. Then we have some county ones. I'm sorry, 4 and 5, 6 and 7, which is again Van Antwerp and Rosendale in the kind of same order. Then we have the state Craig School and Jewish Community Center, which it's a priority, but in some sense, both the state and the school district have got to look at the plan that we had up there, and they've got to say, oh, we think this is good. It's dangerous. We can't allow kids to walk across now, and so we've got to do it. Then we have Grand Boulevard sidewalks. In other words, this has been one of our goals of reaching out to the county that they're going to do the crosswalk on Grand Boulevard, getting over Palmer Avenue. And we've had discussions about other things, but the sidewalks are more important to us than the curbs. So we're still saying we got to do something on Grand Boulevard. We need a sidewalk on either side. So that's still a priority there. Complete missing bike path segments on Hillside Avenue. I mean, I've had this one there for a while, but
Important.
it is important. I mean, it could be a letter to National Grid that they'll do in front of the power transmission station right there. The Army Reserve Center, I mean, maybe they won't do it now, but we should send a letter. They might do the asphalt path in front of theirs. School bus garage, school bus, if we ask them, they might say, hey, we see the merits of this. We'll do this too. And we have a couple of apartment complexes. We need to ask them. If they don't do it, then we can work, but we need to ask. Then utility corridors, I mean, that's still, it's down at the bottom of the list, but again, it is, if we ask the utility people, hey, could people just go on the earth paths to get around on them? Because people walk their dogs, they take dirt bikes, they're connecting highways through the town, but it's unimproved. We just want to get permission and eventually use them. Then the public education, again, finishing our transportation and mobility chapter that we're working on. We need to do a demonstration, forgive me, a demonstration project in 2025.
Do we?
Actually, we had a
We're
good
gonna do it every year. Even if we do the same one we did last year,
It was really good.
it's a training week. No, you're a little wary, but
Goal.
we got Brian and Brendan that are chomping at the bit to do something, so. Or give your daughter back to town. Maybe she'll do it. Okay. Well, we can talk about it, and what we got to do one every year. Safety signage on the mall cuts and bike path, including e-bikes. So we need to talk about e-bikes. We'll have to put them on for our next meeting. But and then we have maintain a source document on traffic calming measures. I mean, the safety signage, Metroplex was doing that. They asked us for input, and Paulina Manzo and other people contributed some information to that, so that came out well. And we're gonna have to do something on e-bikes, because one, Jessica Brennan, on our chair of our police and public safety, I mean, they're kind of like, well, we're getting complaints. We need a policy on this. There are some towns that have one, and so we need to get the county one. We need to get the state regs. We need to get some examples from a couple of towns and look at those and then, make some decisions on, on what we can do, because there's almost too much out there now for us to say, oh,
Yeah,
we
I know.
can't do anything. We got to do something.
I might be able to still learn about the demonstration project actually. Jan's idea was for the linkage study that they might actually do a small demonstration somewhere on Route 7 that
Okay.
CRTC
That
would
is
run.
good.
So maybe we could defer to CRTC running the demonstration project this year.
We'll just be partners with them. We'll call it the Michigan Complete Streets demonstrating on Troy Road.
But they can.
Buy a couple pizzas and we'll personalize it.
I think they were talking
No,
about,
no, I'm just saying, whatever we have, if people come to a meeting or whatever, we'll do.
they were talking about like setting up cones so that you can drive into the lane, the turn lanes.
That's one of
Like,
our specialties.
like, we are not gonna do it on Route 7. We can be helpers.
Well, let me ask committee. Do folks want to wait to March 31 to adopt our committee goals for 25, 26, or you want to do it today?
What about?
Okay. All right. I need a motion. Carl's moved, need a second idea. All right, then moved to second that the committee adopt this draft of goals for 25, 26. And we're just going to complete streets. David? So,
Actually, for the priority letters, we just had Tess moving, but I didn't get a second or about them.
we've got a second from Carla.
Oh, we did? I'm sorry.
So we've got a second from Carla.
Yeah, that with some edits.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, we have only 5 more minutes here, so, I want to put e-bikes on for our next meeting if we could. I know Catherine and I both attended the Ecos thing, sorry,
That
Pussy.
kind
yeah, which was really, I kind of 7 pages of notes from it that we watched, and it was Ecos has taped it. Yeah. Yeah.
Was it worthwhile though?
Yes,
Okay.
it's very good. I mean, it's almost like, he talked about working with the kids in the schools to look at, well, what are the impediments to walking or biking to our school? And, they looked at those things and then they came up with recommendations on what they could do. So, they talked to the PTO, but they also talked to like the town board members in the town and went to them with a plan, and they had,
That's Schenectady?
this is an Ireland.
And they actually had the kids being advocates.
Yes,
And
kids
doing
are advocates.
demonstrations, letters to the politicians.
Yeah, yeah.
That's, I think, how it's different, maybe.
Yeah, of course, but it would be like a class at Van Antwerp or Hillside coming to the town board saying, we need that sidewalk on Cornelius Avenue. And it's not even the PTO moms sending letters. You got the kids themselves, and this guy works on, they get the traffic counts, they do the traffic speeds, they look at the signage, whether it's good or not, they look at the walk paths. So I'd encourage you each to view the table, and we can talk about it.
Can you guys send us a link to the video?
Is it through their website? where
Or
this
we
is
just
being-
on their
I think it's Sarah Seelick, CELIK, who I think is at Ecos.
website?
And I think but we can check with her. I think she has the link, but they did say they were taping it. And so,
Oh, I have one other update. I could do in 2 minutes.
okay.
The chief of police had interviewed a traffic safety consultant from the town of Glenville, who I think the town board may put on retainer so that if we have traffic questions, like somebody wants, like, for instance, like Wyoming, like getting a stop sign there versus a yield sign that will actually be able to have a traffic engineer look at thing.
That's great.
Yeah, so he did an interview and I believe they're trying to move forward with a small budget for a
So
traffic
this
engineer.
guy's gonna pay a stipend to this guy also to
When
do some consulting for this.
when to look at a particular instant, yeah, he'll be like approved and then we send him the problem.
Well, certainly we're talking e-bikes. Lieutenant Glenville's working with the county on e-bikes, and we talked about, we need a countywide plan, so we need whoever's gonna work on e-bikes, Brendan, I presume, and I think Catherine has some interest as well. Yeah, and then, finally, we have a list of things right here. The bus stop at GE in Capitol, I just had a thought, but I guess I'm wondering, do we need to contact CDTA first to say, look, what do you need to see before you would consider an adjustment to a new stop on one of the, I mean, we'd like to find out, I mean, we're interested in a bus stop at GE at the traffic circle and another one at Capitol. And so instead of looping around the Price Chopper parking lot here and going back, they'd go up Van Antwerp, do GE, and maybe go down to Capitol, do a loop. So they had, I think, adequate driveways for a bus to go in, drop some people, turn around and come back.
So it's like their security, but they definitely have adequate driveways for sure.
Well, National Grid certainly does. I don't know if Capitol's got a turnaround.
Well,
This one,
they're
yeah, they may not like that. Yeah, they may not like that. So, but I don't know whether.
The guard gates are very upfront.
Yeah. If walkers, I mean, if bus riders could get all the way to GE, is it a long walk to get down to Capitol? I mean, is that a
Pretty
killer
long.
walk?
It is pretty long.
Okay.
I don't know, like, but if you were riding the bus, even if they just dropped you off like at the intersection of Edison and River, like that's not terrible. You have to cross.
Yeah.
the river.
Well, yeah, actually, it's possible that they could pull up on one side, you have to walk across the road maybe, but then the bus could turn in Edison or someplace and come down and then go back on.
Maybe if it's
Windsor Drive. Yeah. It'll work. But anyway,
Walkers, they're huge.
yeah.
Big clouds. GE people and the Catholic people come out for such.
But we would need to talk to that guy so that he can connect us with a few other people. So we need to do, hey, there are 10 people at GE that would ride the bus and there's 10 Kappa people who get those names.
He was gonna get like maybe a petition from a number of employees at Capital who would like to ride the bus.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great. And actually, would their human resource director at either of those places, I mean, would they be able to do a survey of workers to get some moves?
I have heard, because I have a number of friends that they're having some tumultuous times there. So it might be better right now to talk to CDTA and see what they need so that we can work through. And GE Capital is in a state of flux. Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway, we don't want to sneak up or surprise CDTA or
Yeah.
National Grid or Capitol. What we want to say is that, hey, we've had a few people that have asked us, we're trying to work on it. We're letting you know that we're going to work on it. And so what?
If he can keep working on the capital petition, we can talk to CBTA because they know them, and then we can see if we can find a contract with GE.
I mean, the turnaround may not be that big of a nightmare. They may be able to say, oh, we can use some.
It's easier on GE than capital.
Yeah. GE, you can just kind of drive up, make a drop, come back around the loop, and then just go around and come back,
Yeah.
go down to Capitol, maybe stop across from,
And Capital might let them go through the bus because like,
I bet not.
Oh,
There'd be
they
too
let you do-
many
they let you
terrorists
do-
that would take the
No,
bus.
they let you
They'd be
do-
inside the security gate. I mean, but they know those folks.
it's not even manned part of the time. Like the real security is once you enter the
Oh,
buildings. You know, there's second security. there.
If they're okay with it, would be fine with us, but if they said, no, we don't
Yeah.
want those going through the street.
Very close to the road, had like a.
It's not the kingdom, but they'll.
I was like, nobody told me that there were gonna be the gun fest people in there.
Anybody else finally have anything for today's meeting? that they wanna say before we close?
Just in the minutes that we officially welcome Maddie.
Maddie, welcome to Complete Streets.
So I'll on for appointment at town board in March. And then.
And we'll put your information on. And if you'd be kind enough to just jot your street address, your phone and your email on.
You don't need your street address, just your email and your phone.
Mr.
The
Green.
town, no, the town board is.
Oh, not for the resolution, but for our last one. I gotta drop stuff off at the house.
The kids are exempt from having to write their addresses.
Okay, leave your address in.
Show you.
That's okay. Well, she can be strange.
She has a really nice.
I mean, the
phone,
people
so-
on some of the roads out there, like, oh, here's that Chapman guy. Don't answer the door. Maybe he'll go away. Okay. Motion to adjourn. I move. Second for Tess Healy. All in favor of adjourn. Thank you. And is Jim still here?
They both
Oh, then that's okay. Then what was just right at the bottom, anywhere there. And said people had updated.